Anytime I ever wanted something real in my business, specifically regarding wholesaling real estate, I always just kind of hustled it up. And I think that everybody can relate. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm pretty sure you got into this business pure act of desperation and you made it work. So, I was the same. I was just some drug dealer kid trying to integrate himself into the real estate business and figure out where he fit, and among all the other guys that seemed to be doing it, everybody was always just kind of like looking for deals. It seemed like how do you say, like a glorified Easter egg hunt. Easter egg hunt. So I started to grow. I was really good at finding eggs, just like most people that I meet in this business. Everybody's really good at finding eggs. And what I mean by that is it's like the golden egg. Everybody looks for the eggs that have candy in them. I look for the ones that got the money in them, bro. I'm in this game for the money, not the candy. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, I was always searching for the golden egg. And after a while in real estate, you start understanding that every single state, every single county, every single city is a golden egg chase. Oh, golden egg chase. And everybody's throwing a net, trying to fish in the specific part of a pond. And it just depends on your strategy, your infrastructure, and where you're from. And that's cool. All of these things have a systematic approach. I went to a business mastery I'd say it was in 2020. And I got a chance to, see Tony Robbins, and it was really great. It was during COVID. So I got a chance to be a part of this great, phenomenal educational platform that taught me so much about structure and systemizing a business. Now, I'm telling you guys, a lot of people that get into wholesaling real estate talk about structure in business. Most of them have never actually done it. They're teaching from theory, just based on what they've done with other businesses. And so, I think I was the least income producing guy in this seminar. And I was really wanting to figure out a way to create structure in my company because I never had one. I just kind of figured it out along the way, found something that worked, and then, like most people like I meet, especially in the industry, stuck to it like glue. I knew for a fact that I wanted to make a lot of money though. And so I figured that if I was going to do this, that this would be the way that I would do it. And so I created a structure based on what I learned. And the model or the formation of this business was called a value chain. Now, again, there were people that I was sitting with, bro, that were making hundreds of millions of dollars. I was very fortunate enough to be around some people that were doing crazy things. I met a lady who owned the hospital that Grey's Anatomy was filmed in. She was a part owner, private equity owner. I met another person who was a foot surgeon who apparently, with just a couple of years of being in surgeon school, you could basically drop out of that and then just go in with like 4 or 5 years of surgery experience to work on feet specifically. And she helped athletes get better curvatures in their feet, people with back problems, straighten out their back, things like that. And what I loved about what I learned from Tony was that the infrastructure of business was the same formula all around, no matter what industry that you're in, no matter what industry that you're in. And so when I'm sitting there and I'm looking at all of this and I'm looking at the people that are next to me and I'm just thinking like, man, I know I could do something better with what I got. And so I took what I had at the time, at what I had at the time. There's two pieces to a most people that I meet in business, bro. And let me show you what they look like. Number one is innovation, and number two is optimization. All right. And we're going to go over these things: innovation and then optimization. These two pieces collide at some point in time in your business. Okay. Innovation and optimization are two entirely different things. When you innovate on a product and you innovate on something, you're making something easier. You're taking a process and you're simplifying it. You're simplifying it so that anybody can understand it. When you optimize a product, when optimization is really putting the pieces of what the product is together so that it's fluent throughout the spectrum of the entire business and how it goes about flowing from marketing to customer closed and then the spectrum of it. All right. And so, bro, I'm going to show you some really cool things today, and it's going to blow your mind on a lot of that. When I think of optimization and I try to explain what optimization is to anybody, optimization was where I first started to take my business to the next level. I thought about it. I said, okay, where does my business start? I pull data, right? Then it goes into the next place. I skip trace that data. I think I'm kind of, am I on point with where you're running your business right now, Kendall? Am I on point with that?
Yeah.
Once I have that data, now it's skip trace. I spent the money on it, so there's an exchange of dollars here. And then with the exchange of dollars, I get my results. From my results, I will then begin the next piece of this where I'm loading it into specific things. It's going to go into the dialer. Then it's going to go into the SMS platform. Then it's going to go into my RVM platform. And then it's going to go into my direct mail platform. And then my email marketing tool as well. Now, once I have those things, the marketing then begins. There is yet another exchange in dollars, right? So now I'm paying for all of these things. Some of these are reoccurring subscriptions, and some of these are one-time buys, right? In real estate, you get both, especially if you're reliant on softwares to close deals. So, there's an exchange of dollars for the marketing. Once the marketing goes out, then leads flow in. I have my CRM that tracks everything. So we're gonna call it CRM. And then from the CRM, we get follow-ups and nurturing, which is typically acquisition. From acquisition, this will then lead us to the next part of this process, which is follow-ups. I'd say that that's important. When you're doing the acquisition part, you got to make sure that you're hitting these leads again, right? And then from here, we're putting properties under contract. So we have a whole underwriting team. We're comping with our comping tool. And then we're making offers using our offer tool, which is like, I don't know, for most people to use DocuSign, right? And then from the DocuSign platform, we're moving to the next piece here, which is going to be our buyers. So we're going to go into Dispo. Then from Dispo, it's the same thing again, DocuSign. Then from DocuSign, we get contract signed. Then somewhere along the line, there's a title company involved. So we're going to call that TC. Then from TC, there's curative title work. So we got to do some of the title work ourselves. I'm just going to call it CT instead of TC, curative title work. Then from here, we go to our deal actually closing. And then we have our KPIs. Then from our KPIs, we flow straight back into the business again. And we restart from the top, data. And then this thing repeats. This is what you call optimization of a process. If you've never done this before, then you've never seen your business for what it is. All right. So when you optimize something, you create a whole bunch of steps that flow into each other. This is the optimization of a product. I'm creating a blueprint for my service. A lot of people that I meet, they've never seen their business before, bro. And this is your business materializing. You see, I call Jarvis, which is my CRM platform, Jarvis for a reason. When anytime I've ever seen Iron Man inside of the movie solve a problem or an equation, what is he doing? Iron Man is ironing out what he's seeing because he knows that his mind's running a million miles an hour. He's a billionaire business owner. I think all of us have some type of Tony Stark in us, right? We all have the mindset that we can take a business and then scale it to 7, 8 figures. We get so excited about it that we actually let a lot of things fall through the cracks. Tony's probably just like that. So Tony has this super AI intelligent computer program software named Jarvis, who ends up becoming Vision later, I think in Avengers Infinity, or not Infinity War, but I think it was Ultron, Age of Ultron, which is one of my favorite movies. But Jarvis was an AI supercomputer, and he would help Iron Man project his problems so that he could see them and then solve his equations to figure out X, which was the result, which is actually what saved him and created the arc reactor that would replace the thing in his heart, right? And so we think about these things. I think about Jarvis putting exactly what Jarvis does, the AI of what it is to own a real estate company and move it forward. This is the optimization of a business. Now, optimization, as beautiful as it is, can be seductive. So we call it seductive. Seductive, seductive. What does that mean? This means that a lot of people that I meet that get into wholesaling create the illusion that they're actually busy, when in reality, they're not. They're just wearing too many hats and they never get to the things that are most important. And my mentor, who was a gentleman named Ross Alex, I always give him his flowers when I can because he was one of the first people that ever mentioned this to me. He said, Quinn, you got to do what you do best and delegate the rest. I remember when he first told me that I really didn't understand what he was talking about, but that was just an experience factor plus knowledge factor, things that were against me. I hadn't been in the game long enough to even know what that meant. And so when you optimize a product, you create this seductive mindset that keeps you trapped in the sequence. Because once we get to the end here, wherever that looks like, well, we start right back here and we're wearing all of these hats in our company. Not only that, but we're creating unnecessary steps that we have to abide by to get to the result that we want, which is that deal closed at the end of the month, end of the quarter, whatever our goal is. So optimization, you know what it reminds me of? If I could create an analogy of it, it reminds me of the T9 system. You remember T9 when you texted people? If I wanted to say, yo, Kendall, what are you doing, dog? I'd have to be like WRUD, which would be like 5982, right? And on a dial pad on my phone to send you a text message. Before then, I couldn't even text you. I had a beeper, and my beeper would ping you to call me. So you could call me. This is in the 90s. My age is probably showing, right? So you can call me back then if I beeped you, or I can text you. And that's why so many accidents were happening with texting and driving, because Siri wasn't available yet. You know, I think even Apple or Google Play now has their own version of Siri. So you can talk to your AI and tell it to do certain things like send text messages, reply to people, respond. And now it's a little bit safer to drive and communicate with people without running the risk of doing a T9 text to somebody, letting them know that you're on your way to the club, right? And so the T9 system was something that was an optimization from numbers turning into letters. They took multiple steps to create a message, which was, hey, what's up, Kendall, dog? What are you doing tonight? And now I can do 555-99221-999-552219. See what I'm doing? It's too many unnecessary steps to get to the result, which I'm just trying to send you a text message. For a lot of people that get into wholesaling that try to optimize, they create too many unnecessary steps to get to the outcome that they have to go through. And so Steve Jobs saw this. And Steve Jobs said, you know what? I want to innovate something amazing. What is the thing that most children learn at a very, very young age? The keypad. Most of us in school, we got this little like program computer that could tell us how many words we could type per minute. We learned how to use all 10 of our fingers to type on a keypad. He said it's a very unique way that somebody can send a text message without having to worry about having the numbers memorized and the T9 system down. And so he developed the most revolutionary device that we've seen in ages that changed the spectrum of how we do things. You see, there's some people that'll make changes and then boom, it just kind of goes over, you know, like trends, like the planking challenge. And then there are other people that'll create things that change the way the game is played. The first ever, in my opinion, fully functional iOS system that integrated in its own software that would allow for it to update on its own as new updates came out was the iPhone, which showcased in, I believe, either late 2006, early 2007, where Steve Jobs took this T9 system and drove it into a way that could be so simple that anybody can send a text messages instantly. And it was the touch screen. The touch screen eliminated almost 70% of what was optimized. And so innovation, what does it do? It creates more productivity in what we do in business. That's the thing. Innovation creates productivity. This productivity allows for us to do this whole process here simplified so that we're no longer working at the T9 system of getting to the message that we're trying to send or the deal that we're trying to close. Because I think that a lot of people T9 their way to their first closing, right? Yep. And so when you optimize a product, the first thing that you do is you label out the steps of what you're trying to accomplish. That's exactly what I just did. When you innovate the product, you take out anything that's unnecessary, put it in departments, and structure it so that it's simple, easy, stupid. Let me tell you something. Productivity in business, Kendall, gets you paid. Productivity gets you, to my friend, Fucked. All right? Productivity gets you paid. Productivity gets you, all right? And so I just want you to understand that as we progress in what I'm trying to teach you, when you combine, though, optimization with productivity, you get full maximization of business. And that is that sweet spot in the middle. Both of these are very important to the outcome of whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And so what does that look like? What does that look like for wholesaling, right? Especially for, for you, Kendall, because I know that you're really trying to scale this thing, right? I get where you're coming from. The reality is, man, is that you got to create a structure and then abide by it. I wanted to go over that with you because that was one of the most valuable things that I learned during business mastery was that I didn't have to do it all on my own, that there was a better way, and that I could systemize this and put it in departments that would actually have standard operating procedure, structure, a real plan that would get me from A to Z. And I wanted to create a system that would pump a minimum of 15 plus deals a month, which I have. And so with that being said, I'm going to show you the structure of a real estate company. I took all 25, 30 of those steps and I consolidated them into 6 departments of a real estate business. And I'm going to draw them out for you now so that you can see them. Okay. And we're going to go from one bracket to the next. And then I'm going to put your business in the middle of all of it. And so the first place that we start at is called prospecting. You can write this down. Prospecting. Second is marketing. Third is acquisition. The fourth piece is your CRM. The fifth piece is your disposition. Your last piece is your KPIs. And then we move into the next section of this. This is where your business lies in the middle of all of this. And this, my friend, is how you create a real estate investing company. Your business is in the middle of this entire thing. All right. Now I'm going to go over exactly what these things are because each of these pieces is a part of a bigger puzzle than you can ever even comprehend. And once you get this down, Kendall, you're going to understand this flow. So the first things first, we start at prospecting. Prospecting is gathering data, all of it, as much as you can. It is the data part of your company that keeps the wheels turning where it needs to go. It's the lifeline of your business. Without data, your business will not have any success. It's necessary. So when you pull data, you're not marketing to it. You're creating a structure around having consistent data in your business. And I want to go ahead and I want to show you this for proof of concept, okay? So I can let you know that I'm not blowing smoke here. Let me show you this real fast. We're going to call this the data tracker 2.0. This is it. What you're looking at here is how I pull information and data. These are my lists that I get. These are my list sources. This is the date that I pull them. This is the source that they come from. This is the amount of leads that I gather. This is the dates that I'm pulling my data. This is where the data is going. And then so on and so forth per market from DFW to El Paso to any other market that I have. This thing is for pretty much everybody, for every market that I'm currently in. This is what you call a data pulling schedule. It's something that's necessary in your business. We're going to go over this as the months fall off of the calendar. I'm going to help you structure one so that you have one that's consistent. And data should be something that you be gathering every single month, and it should be on a schedule. Data that you should pull on the first of every month, on the 15th of every month, maybe a little bit third quarter of the month, anywhere between the 20th and the 25th. There are some times where you're gonna have to pull data only twice a year. Other time frames when you have to renew information that you have, I'd say every quarter, right? Like tax delinquency data, senior data, income-based data, like low income, high income. A lot of these different types of lists you can get from the datafleet.com. There is also multiple types of resources you can pull data like this from your county, and credit bureaus sometimes will be willing to offer you a contract to purchase this type of information for them as well. So data is where your whole business starts. It's pulling information at scale where it's consistent, structured, organized. All right. The second piece is your marketing. I like to handle marketing like a chain of events that happen consistently. Without the marketing being consistent, meeting the data, bro, you're not going to get deals, man. Every month I'm marketing to pre-foreclosures. Every quarter I'm marketing to tax delinquent properties. I have a structure for how I hit them. We start off with number one, texting, because that's how you can hit everybody at once. Number two, we get into cold calling, right? Number three, we're going to go into direct mail marketing. Number four, we're going to go into RVMs. Number five, we're going to go into email marketing. Number six, we're going to go into realtor outreach. We're going to message realtors to see if they have off-market fixer-uppers. Number five, we're going to do door knocking, right? Door knocking is a big one. Those are typically done for pre-foreclosures, high value leads. And then we'll say number 7 or 8, we'll do mailmen, right? We can track mailmen down to see if they can give us vacant leads, put them on Deal Machine. Another one as well as copy. So I like copy and physical evidence. Physical evidence is a form of marketing, and that is essentially your flyers and whatnot, right? And so your marketing covers everything like a fish boat in the water. If you and I were to go to the pier right now, Kendall, and we start throwing one pole out there, my friend, you and I only have 2 chances to catch a fish. What about the guy that has a net that's just swimming through the ocean on his boat, capturing everything? You think we're gonna get more fish than that guy? No. So the goal is to build your marketing boat so that you can catch all of the fish before everyone else. All of these have a systematic structure for how you begin your outreach for your wholesaling business. Okay. If you can do this consistently, you'll never have a problem here. Now, acquisition is the third piece. Acquisition is a combination of marketing knowledge, I'm sorry, investor knowledge on top of underwriting, follow-ups, everything that you can think of. All right. So acquisition is underwriting deals, negotiations, sales, contract to close, follow-ups, investment knowledge. I'd put that right at the top, to be honest, if I was anybody here that is watching this video, aka you. Investor knowledge is going to tell you how many deals that you're going to get, man. I meet so many people, bro, that are fully reliant on just wholesaling. We ain't going to close 3 or 5 deals a month, 10 deals, let alone 10 deals a month, if the only thing that you know how to do is wholesale and offer what a flipper would offer minus your assignment fee. Guys, and this is the thing, when it comes to acquisition, you have to have a combination of multiple different types of things. So I talked about this, is putting properties under contract, number one. Negotiations is based on investment knowledge. So it's knowing subject to lease options, wraparounds, multifamily land, duplexes, triplexes, everything. It's knowing how to do creative finance, and it's knowing how to take over payments on a property, knowing how to do curative title work. There's so many things. It's sales even. So there's psychology behind it. It's contract close, it's follow-ups, and it's also a combination of the type of investment knowledge that you have. You see, the better that you get at acquisitions, the easier that it's going to be to scale your operation. If the only thing that you know how to do is wholesale, well, I got bad news for anybody. It's never going to work. You got to figure out a way to break out of that chain of thought that's keeping you in this box that every deal has to be wholesale. And at some point in time, you begin to keep. Like, I know you got some strategies that you're integrating with your system right now where you're buying a lot of properties too. So Kendall, you're ahead of a lot of people that I mentor, especially in these one-on-one sessions. So proud of you for that. But the acquisition piece is how you dial in on this. Without this piece here, which is where 90% of anybody that I meet that gets into wholesaling real estate is operating out of, you're not going to make any money. You got to understand prospecting, marketing, and acquisition, because those three things tie into the last three pieces of this spectrum of business that we're talking about. Now, CRM is where you're going to nurture your leads. It's where you tag them. It's where you set up your calendar. It's where your website is. It's where your funnels are. It's where your automations can be. Your CRM should be built so that you don't forget about leads, bro. Okay? That's the thing. A CRM is built so that you do not forget about any type of leads that you have. If you don't have a proper structure here, everything falls through the crack. What's done here, here, and here. Okay? This right here is how you fill the holes in your organization. And so, I have my own CRM. It's justjarvis.com. You know of it. You're already a member of it. It's built to help you structure yourself. I love CRMs, man. If I could go back in time, I'd start from one. And I think that so many people are like, nah, fam, it's all hustle at the beginning of the business. No, it's not. It's more than that. It's structure. And most people that get into wholesaling are getting into it out of pure act of desperation. They're hustling their way. They're drug dealing their way there. They're trying to flip a brick and make a dime when they could literally be out here making quarters fly. You know what I'm saying? And so it starts with building out your CRM so that you never miss a deal. Those are the holes in the business that most people fail to see. Your CRM is so that you can have organization and structure on every single cold lead. Because again, from prospecting, it starts at cold. from marketing is where you're converting cold to warm. From marketing, you're converting warm to contract, right? That's the flow. That's the flow. Now, from contract, what about the ones that say they want to sell later? Well, that needs to be structured here so that you don't forget. You don't forget. We have so many things going on, from underwriting deals and disposition to ensuring that our buyers are happy to our sellers being happy. You see, real estate is a sales business, right? It's a lot of transactional stuff, especially if you're entering into this part where you're really wanting to take a wholesaling business to the next level. It is a transactional business. So it's based on the number of deals that you find. I always do it for anybody starting 10 to 1. 10 leads, qualified leads. Well, we'll start it this way. 100,000 cold leads, 10 qualified leads, 10 qualified leads, one contract, 5 contracts, you get one closing, 5 to 1. So it's almost like 10% down all the way down. Now, that might not be everybody, right? That might be just a few people. But if I could set the standard for anyone just starting, that's where I would put it. Now, obviously, you're starting from experience, so those numbers might not apply to you. For me, I'm 3 to 1. You know what I'm saying? So if I market to 30,000 leads, I get 3 qualified contracts. From 3 contracts, I get 1 closing, no matter what. So my goal is to get 3 properties under contract every single month, which I can. Typically, I get anywhere between 3 to 12, and they're all over the place. So with CRM is so that you don't lose deals in the cracks of you trying to get everything going. And what's dope about Jarvis, bro, is that there's AI. You know what I'm saying? So AI can help you out with structuring and automating that process of booking appointments. Now, Dispo, bro, I love disposition. If I'm being real, what's crazy is that all of these are different businesses tied into one. I know people that start data companies, bro. I know people that have marketing business like PPC and PPLs. I know people who will put properties under contract for you, training virtual assistants to do that. I know people who own softwares that help you organize your company. See what we're doing though? We're creating a structure based on 6 different departments for your organization. Now here in Dispo, right? We can talk about Dispo. Dispo is more than just finding buyers. If I could start from the beginning, disposition would be a combination of 1, raising capital for your business, raising money, and finding relationships. And those relationships also are big money. Disposition should be 2 things. It's also marketing. Your dispo is a combination of prospecting, you're finding investors, marketing, you're reaching out to them, acquiring, you're raising capital, or you're finding partners. That's how I treat dispo. Dispo is like its own business to me, dog, right? Disposition is also where I would delegate all of the title work. Whoever's operating out of dispo, they're also doing the title stuff, man. Because it's not hard to sell a deal, bro. It's not. If you got a deal, it's going to sell. And so the way I do it to justify how easy it is to work in disposition, I always feel like it's so unfair when people start wholesaling companies and they throw all of their agents in acquisition. They don't close anything, dog. And they feed them and they give them this false hope and this false promise. Like, you can work for me and I promise you'll close your first deal in 2 or 3 months. Yeah. So if your success rate is like 20% of 10 people who apply for your company, then your business is built on filtering out people in your business and replacing to put butts in seats to motivate individuals who don't have the motivation to try to learn this on their own to come to your office and slave away for free for commission-based only pay. My dude, more people want to buy cars than sell houses. If you're going to have a rotation system that gets people in, there are too many people that I know that have big companies, and I used to be one of them. I'm not speaking from innocence. I felt bad for almost every person that joined my business because I had too much wolves, not enough food to feed them. See what I'm saying? And so in Dispo, bro, Dispo was the easiest because I have 20 people on my sales floor pumping out 5, 10 contracts a month, right? 5, 10 contracts a month being fed to Dispo where they're able to sell these deals and make more money than my guys in acquisition. And so I had to consolidate. Now I want you to understand this whole business, bro, can be ran with 4 people. You be in the middle. You need somebody who can manage your data and your softwares in your system, someone who can do your cold calling, marketing, and acquisition, and then an individual who can assist you directly with every single part of the business. I'm talking about like a master VIP admin. All right. Administration. So you got somebody managing the system, making sure that marketing's fluent. You got somebody cold calling and doing acquisition, putting properties under contract for you. You and another person are assisting with the whole system to ensure that it is moving and it is flowing and that everything's congruent. Now, this leads me to my next part. As you get revenue generated into the company, well, that revenue has a story to tell, and that's your KPIs. Man, I tell you what, Kendall, I was in the gym for freaking 3 years straight, my dude, trying to lose weight. I plateaued after I lost about 40, 50 pounds, and I couldn't lose a single pound more. And I was going to the gym every single day, eating the right food every single day, doing everything I could every single day. Well, let me tell you what the problem was, man. It was internal. It was my blood type. It was the type of food that I had in my body. It was the lack of nutrition that I had as well. I was malnourished in almost every important B vitamin that you can think of, and vitamin D as well. And just my blood was just so low. My hormones were low. My testosterone was low. And how do I know these things? Because I got a chance to look at my blood, my friend. You see, if you ever want to know if you have a disease or anything like that, you go and you get your blood work done. It's called a full male panel that includes your liver, kidney, and thyroid. So it's going to go over your overall organ health. On top of that, it's going to go over the internal things, your vitamin deficiencies. Bro, if I would have known that I just had these different variations of vitamin B in my body, that I'd lose another 100 pounds, I would have done that right at the beginning. And so the thing about that is that your blood, similar to that, is like your business. Your business has its own genetics too. It has its own lifeline, its own body, its own soul. Without knowing these numbers, then you can't scale it. Why? And let me tell you something. I'm going to give you this, bro, and this is going to give you, I mean, it gave me chills. You can't scale what you have never measured. Why is it when you go to a personal trainer, they ask you, they say, hey, man, can you step on a scale for me? Can you get your blood work done for me? Why? Because how am I supposed to take my business to where I want it to go if I'm not measuring what I'm doing? Right. So many people run up to me at these freaking seminars, Kendall, and they're like, yo, Q, how do I get to 10 deals a month? What did it take for you to close one? How many calls? How many no's? How many contracts fell through? How many leads did you pull? How many text messages you send out? If you don't have these numbers, then you're never going to know that it would just be the science of that, man. If you would just know that every single time that you spent $500, you got one qualified lead. And if you knew that if you spent $1,500, you got 3 qualified leads and your close ratio was 3-1, then if I wanted to make $10,000 on one deal, and that was my average assignment fee based on what my KPIs are telling me, all I have to do is spend $1,500 to make 10 grand. So Kendall, if you had those numbers and it was science, it was tried, tested. You know what science is? Science is tried and tested, meaning that is a simulation that can be repeatedly tested over and over and over again until we get what? Proof, evidence. That evidence is then inside of the pudding. The secret of the pie is in the ingredients, my guy. That's the reality of it, okay? And so again, we can't scale it if we can't measure it. And so if I knew that every single time I spent 1,500, I'd make 10 grand. Well, come on, Kendall, why wouldn't you want to spend $12,000, bro? Yeah. Right? Because then we know that for a fact, this is how much money that we can make. You see, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And numbers is the closest thing that we get to the handwriting of God. All right? And so again, going over this whole process, and I'll go ahead and I'll pull this back so you can screenshot that if you want. Again, you know, this is for you. I also recorded this call. I wanted you to understand that this is what it is to structure a real estate company. Now, there are pieces to this. Each one has its own standard operating procedure. Each one has its own set of employees that would work in that specific department. It's kind of like a value chain where you hand off a baton around. Like, you ever seen those guys that run track, right? Or those gals that run track? They have a baton and they hand it to the next person, and then they start booking it around the track. This is the exact same process, bro. I developed this process back in 2020. I'm the only one that's probably ever done it to this extent. But I took what I knew in my real estate business and I created a template that would allow for me to see my business for what it was, not for what I thought it was, but beyond it, beyond it. Because once your business begins to materialize, well, then you can realize that if you optimate and innovate, whatever this looks like to you, and then you innovate it even further and make it simple and stupid, then this gives you two things that are the most valuable things that anybody who's trying to really take their real estate operation further. It's
Yeah.
clarity and simplicity. All right. Now, if you want to add two more, it's alignment and foresight. Clarity, simplicity, alignment, foresight. What does this mean? Clarity. I know the operation. I get where we're going. The mission statement is clear. Alignment. This is in alignment with where I want to go, who I want to be, what I'm trying to become, the people that I'm trying to take care of, what I plan to leave behind. It's in alignment, right? And anybody that gets into it is a part of the same goal. We all have the same dreams, the same goals, the same aspirations, right? Clarity, alignment, simplicity, taking the T9 system and making it so that even a child can use it. Man, Kendall, let me tell you something. I gave my son an iPad when he was 4 years old, 3 years old. You think he knew how to read or write at that time? He wasn't even in elementary school yet, bro. But how was he able to use it? You see, Steve Jobs innovated his product so effectively, he put a little microphone on that freaking thing. So my son could talk to what he was trying to get. He could talk to the iPad and he could search what he was wanting to see. That is crazy innovation. So when you simplify your product, you make it easy for anybody to use. If your business is already complicated for you, then it's never going to be easy for anyone else. You see, you have to dumb your business down so that it's actually simple for people to get a part of it and simple for them to make money and see results quickly. You see, businessman is like a vision. You create this, so what do you think it can become, Kendall? You create this vision, and then other people that you hire fit inside of it. Well, let me tell you something about people that are entrepreneurs that fit inside of your business. As they see you, their vision expands further and further and further. And when growth stops here and it no longer expands on this screen, right? Guess what? If they expand beyond you, do you think that they're going to want to stay working for you? There's a structure behind this that you got to think about. Would you work for you, Kendall? If you were the CEO of your business, would you ask yourself, is Kendall the guy that I want to follow? Every day you wake up into the CEO of your life, and you can either have two choices. You could be a great boss for yourself, or you can be a crappy one. And your life is a product of those choices, right? So you get clarity, simplicity, alignment. Well, let me tell you something, dude. When you have all these systems in places, you get foresight. And foresight isn't seeing 5 years into the future. It's just 5 inches in front of you, man. 5 inches in front of you. If you could wake up tomorrow and know that you had 15 deals closing for the next quarter, would that not be detrimental? Would that not be amazing to know? Would that not be just massive clarity? Could you not operate and do other things differently because you know that these things are going to close? It's getting to that. And so this is an introductory call to what it is that I offer in one-on-one coaching, man. And I wanted you to really see this because I'm about my business, bro. I built over 18 companies using the same systematic structure that I'm giving you. In my life, I've gone from literally nothing, sleeping inside of laundry mats was where I started, stealing clothes from other people because I didn't have any out of laundry mats, going to work at Jack in the Box, sleeping inside of a restroom. I've seen every part of life that you can think of. I've gone from absolutely nothing. And so many people say that, but they've never actually had that. I was sleeping in a shelter before to making $20 million a year. Okay. And so if you want even a fraction of what I got, that's what this is about. And so again, I'm going to pause the recording from here on out. But this is my introductory call to you and what it is that I offer. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and structure something that's more personal around you that I don't want on a recorded call. Okay. And so I hope you got value from this. I'm going to send you a copy of this recording too. It's my goal that you rewatch this over and over and over and over again, because I want you to see what real structure looks like, especially when you're implementing it into a business. Okay. So let me go ahead and pause this.